welcome to the latest episode of Quest for Twice. Last week, Kinder Morgan reported its fourth quarter earning as well as provided the outlook for 2021. So in this episode, I will summarize its earning results. So the earning results from last quarter can be described using one word, boring, because its performance is fairly in line with its Q3 performance. There was really no surprise. As a reminder, Kinder Morgan derived most of its EBITDA from natural gas pipeline business, and the liquid line terminal and CO2 business has significant but relatively small contributions. So if we look at the transportation volume of natural gas, it declined 3% from 1 year ago, and its EBITDA declined 5% from 1 year ago. So that's roughly steady compared to Q3 of last year. Its liquid line also performed almost identically as Q3 of last year, and its volume declined by 17% and EBITDA declined by 20%. Its terminal EBITDA decline was slightly better than Q3, and the CO2 performance was slightly worse. So overall, its Q4 EBITDA declined by about 8% from last year, and that's comparable to Q3 performance of a 6% decline year on year. So that's why I would say its Q4 performance is roughly the same as a Q3. It's basically plateaued in terms of its recovery, and not doing much better, but not really doing worse. So that's understandable considering the current pandemic as well as the slow rollout of vaccine. So really there is no substantial change to its underlying business. KMI also provided its outlook for 2021. So I have updated in this table the key metrics for Kinder Morgan. So now its EV over EBITDA stands at 9.8 using the EBITDA forecast of 6.8 billion in 2021. That's a slightly decline from 7 billion it earned in 2020. Its debt stands at 32 billion, and the market cap stands at 34 billion. Its 2021 DCF stands at 4.4 billion. It's also a slight decline from 4.6 billion from 2020. Its outlook for capex for 2021 is 0.8 billion. That's substantially less than 1.7 billion it spent in last year. And as a reminder that the DCF need to be able to cover capex and forward the dividend $2.46 billion. Otherwise, Kinder Morgan will have to borrow money to pay for the combined dividend and capex. And in Kinder Morgan's case, 0.8 billion capex plus about 2.5 billion dividend, that's 3.3 billion. So that's less than 4.4 billion in DCF in 2021. So there will be cash surplus. So Kinder Morgan actually announced that it plans to spend 0.45 billion to buy back shares in 2021. So that's still less than the free cash flow to be expected in 2021. So basically, Kinder Morgan is in very strong financial position. Its valuation of 9.8 for EV over EBITDA is still fairly reasonable. So I would characterize Kinder Morgan as still undervalued. Maybe not by too much, but it has a low risk and it's fairly defensive. Now let's take a quick look at my portfolio. It currently stands at 4.9x of my former salary on January 25th. So I hold about 1% in cash and the 99% in US stocks. If we look at the valuation versus size of the company matrix, so I have 9% in small growth, that's IEC Electronics. And I have 16% in ingredient, that's a small value stock, and 30% in Atkore, that's a core small cap. And my Kinder Morgan and the energy transfer stocks adds up together to about 24%. That's a medium sized value stock. And I have about 20% in core large cap. That's mostly Berkshire Hathaway, and 1% in Emerson. So overall, I would characterize my portfolio as fairly defensive, with significant tilt towards value stocks and small cap stocks. So considering that I believe the current overall market is overpriced, especially in the growth sector and large cap sector. So I'm comfortable with the composition of my portfolio. So that's the end of this episode. Until next time, happy investing.